Hey, what's going on? JD here. This is the Daily JD. Obviously, a different stream from usual. Of course, Logan Paul KSI fight today. I've just finished taping some podcasts with Lloyd. So this is essentially, I'm just watching kind of a stream that I've picked up to watch the fight and see what's going on. Hopefully it will stay consistent and won't cut out or anything like that, because I have been having internet issues. And if I do have to cut this stream short, I definitely will. Just because I want to see exactly what goes on and take it from there. So thanks for tuning in. If you are tuned in, and just let me know that you're here. I want to hear your fight predictions as well. I don't know where we are in the card. Like I said, I have been taping the podcast all morning, so I'm not sure. Obviously, we have not hit the main event yet, in the sense that Logan Paul and KSI have not fight. Currently, I'm watching. They are interviewing Shannon Briggs, heavyweight boxer, and talking with him about the fight. So I'm just trying to wear these headphones, at least where I've got one ear on the audio and one ear so I can hear myself actually chat. I will give you play-by-play, so if you are looking for a stream of the actual fight, you're not going to get it here. This will be more like an old-time sort of boxing thing, maybe more akin to, when you used to listen to sporting events on the radio. I will give you my play-by-play, my honest opinion on all what is going on, and we'll take it from there. So just getting the audio back here. Sorry, guys. I'm doing some of my own stuff, and there we go. Yeah, so they're talking with Shannon the Cannon Briggs. They've got Jordy, and they've got Joe Weller on the commentator bench. Yeah. They just asked Joe Weller who he looks up to, because Jordy's saying that essentially that he looks up to Joe Rogan, and of course Joe Weller says KSI, and they said, well, we know you were looking at KSI, up at KSI at one point, a joke meaning that essentially KSI had knocked Joe Weller out in his first fight. So there you go. Hey, good to see you, Noitebs. Thanks for joining in. I'm going to send some tweets out, so I do apologize that this is a lot more informal. So I'm going to type out live streaming, my reaction to KSI and Logan Paul. And I know that Woodrow wanted to see this, so I'm going to tweet that at Mum's Universe. So if you are watching the fight, by all means. Josh says, I missed it. I'm currently watching it, so I don't know if this is replay or if this is in fact live. I think it's way behind. I think the event is going on. I've just started streaming. They're just talking. I don't even know what card they are at this juncture. I believe it is still actually live. There's 650-odd thousand people watching, so interesting to know. They're just talking to Jordy as well as Joe Weller on the commentary desk currently. So it's the in-between stuff. Just watch some guy play some foot, doing some juggling in the ring. Essentially, I'm looking at the crowd here. It looks to be a packed crowd. Looks like I can see the guy from Drama Alert directly behind the announcer desk. There seems to be a lot of popular YouTubers sort of kicking there. Which is not a surprise. I mean, the who's. Yeah, there we are. Keemstar just doing some dabs behind the the announcer's desk. He's going into there. It is $13 for the stream. So basically what the $13 does is essentially you get to watch the stream as well as you get to watch the stream anytime thereafter. So still a bit pricey. So, I mean, if I just look at the raw numbers at sort of what everybody paid, if everybody paid $13 Canadian, there's currently 654,000 people watching. We'll assume more. This fight has already net just from YouTube, and you've got to remember that they've done a pay-per-view on essentially television, as well as they've done some other things in regards to it as well. That ultimately, at the end of the day, we're at $8.5 million that this fight has made. That doesn't include advertising. So upcoming, we've got Anson Gibb versus Jay Swigley. So we haven't even hit the undercards of Deji or basically KSI Logan Paul. So we've got a ways to go. So we've got two guys. Gibb, 22 years old, versus Swiggy, 23, 5'8" versus 5'9", 174 versus 171, 66 reach to 67. And I'm not even sure, essentially, you know, who these guys are. These guys are news to me. I assume they are all YouTubers. Peter says, dang, that is some money to be brought in. And again, you know, like we have talked about during the Daily JD as a whole, during the podcast, essentially is that a lot of people are watching this. A lot of people are watching at the money that they are going to make off this fight. They're watching to see essentially, you know, what kind, you know, of revenue they can generate. I don't think it is unrealistic to think that, you know, at some point you may say YouTubers on undercards of UFC bouts or boxing matches just because of the draw. It looks very much like a very professional fight. You know, it's interesting. Like I said, they have the commentators. They've got people that are relevant to YouTubers. Jordy, who has been in there and moderating the whole thing. Joe Weller, of course, having the fight with KSI prior to that. So there you go. Josh says that's too much for me to care. $13. I agree. Had I known that it was going to be running this late, I would have gone on with the event at the Rec Room. I have to say it was kind of poorly organized in terms of time. It was very difficult to find the time where this was going to launch. And, you know, I kind of wish we could have had to get together at the Rec Room to do this as well. And this was sort of my backup plan for myself. So this is, in fact, what I'm doing. Josh says YouTube celebrities are still celebrities. Absolutely, and they definitely have their draw. I mean, this place, like if you look behind the commentary desk here, you can see a bunch of who's who in YouTube. And you know, it's a big event, and I think, you know, again, that this is not going to be the last one of these that we're going to see. That a whole bunch of hype is going to come out of it. I mean, there are a lot of people that are on this card, and I better not put my hands in front of the camera there, that essentially, you know, wanted to be there. The Adam Salas, you know, the Fousey Tubes, all that kind of stuff. So here we go. We got the announcer in the ring. And I'm just going to change my sound here a bit. So Sweeper coming into the ring. He is wearing the red gloves, red shorts, and a white top. Playing some rap music. And he's looking, you know, fairly good. He's got his entourage, what looks like a bunch of steroid monkeys. You know, it is looking, he's looking pretty calm. He's just kind of walking. He does not look highly energetic. He doesn't look too pumped. But, you know, that's kind of what we expect from, you know, fighters such as that. You know, when you're early on, I mean, there's a lot of pressure fighting in front of these many people. Moves around a bit, throws his arms in the air, taking in the crowd, you know. He looks fairly calm, which is good, but, you know, probably got a bunch of butterflies. Josh says, I went and saw Little Italy last night with Andrew Fung. It was a really cool seeing him on screen. That's cool. That's awesome. Awesome. I look forward to seeing that. I have just actually finished Kim's Convenience. So I thought I look forward to another season. I know they got renewed, so super fun. Cool that you got to go see that movie with them. So next fighter in, of course, we got some Supreme advertising. He's wearing a shiny leopard print kind of robe. He is super jacked up. This looks like something out of WWE. So Joe Addison jumping in there. I need to take a look at see this actual card so I get these names right. We're stalling out. We are stalling out. Hopefully we will regain connection here. That kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. I'm just getting the ball of death. And we are stuck, and I don't even know if my stream is streaming anymore. There we go, we're back moving again. Oh yeah, I am still live, which is good. So these guys are moving lots. It is the best way to put this at this moment is these guys are moving a lot. Looks like they've done a bit of training, and it's, you know, some wild punching. Trying to kind of box, but very amateur. Very amateur. So Swindler is looking fairly solid, whereas Gibb here is definitely bouncing around, trying to move a lot. You know, again, pushing the head down, throwing some punches. These guys are utilizing a lot of energy. They are going to get super tired, super fast. Lots. Yeah. Gibble is just sort of pushing and pushing. Gibble is got him up on the ropes, and he's just pushing him and pushing him, and he's just sort of dominating. And this is what we're going to find with amateur boxing. Obviously, Gibble here is a much better boxer versus Swingler. Again, Gibbler pushing in. Swinger is just covering up, and he is just eating punch after punch after punch. The only thing that I'd be worried about here is that I essentially have ticking a thing. Swingler throwing a wild punch. He's got him up against the ropes. He is basically holding his head, throwing uppercuts, and that is the end of the first round. Yeah. So Gimbler Gimbler definitely took the first round. Swingler. So the hands are pretty much down. These guys are just basically throwing, like I said, I mean, very, very amateur. Kind of what I expect all the way around today. At the end of the day, there's not a lot of skill. You know, he's got him covered up on the ropes, and he's just throwing giant haymakers. The fight is currently we have Gibb and Swingler. They are fighting. And I just accidentally closed my browser there. I'm just trying to organize my desktop here. I've got way too much stuff essentially going on. Yeah. So Gibble is basically just dominating this fight. Swingler is in trouble. He's up against the ropes. Swingler is in trouble. Gibbler is just unloading on him. But, oh my God. Swingler just throws an errant right hook and connects and probably saves himself. Hilarious in the sense that, oh, and he just eats a big shot from Gibb. Referee is stepping in, time up, throwing him to the corner. He's going to have a talk with Swig. I believe he spat out his mouthpiece. Yes, he did. So obviously, yeah. Swigler is definitely feeling gassed. He's leaning over the ropes. His nose is bleeding. They're putting back to the corner. Ref is starting out. Gibb comes out. Swigler just eats a couple. And again, these guys are just throwing. Swigler is just in survival mode. He is eating punch after punch in the corner. He's got him pinned in the corner. He is taking hooks after hook. Uppercut. Left hook, right hook. Referee steps in, separates them. And they're getting going. Oh, my stream is lagging again. My stream is lagging again. He's got them. He's pulling them. He's pulling Swigler. He's going to get him checked out. Spraying his face, taking his nose. Here we go. Back to the action. Gibbs right back out. Hugging in the corner. Oh. Swigler comes out of that and rocks Gibb with a shot to the thing. I mean, this is... this is the crazy stuff about amateur fighting. I wish I could show you guys this stuff. It's, you know, it's just trading big, heavy blows. Both of these guys are tired. They're only in the second round. They are just swinging for the fences. Absolutely craziness. Absolute craziness. But again, you know, I mean, for a first, I mean, if we honestly want to take a look at this, at these guys, these are their first boxing matches. I mean, kudos to you guys for stepping in the ring. Kudos for training this hard for an event and putting on a good show. I mean, obviously, you know, not professional boxers by any stretch as far as I know. If they are, you guys need to do some work because you're looking terrible. But, you know, at the end of the day, I commend anybody that steps in the ring to basically fight and puts their reputation and self on the line in front of people. And here we go. Swigler and Gibb. They're both looking good. Again, we've got Gibb. Gibb is pressing again. Swigler moves off the ropes. He is definitely running. Gibb just keeps on pressing. He catches him with a left hook and just pushes him out of the ring. He just pushed him out of the ring. So, absolute insanity. They pulled him back in, and here we go. Again, Gibb is going. Swigler is just going. He is definitely tired. Swigler is there. He's been backed into a corner. Gibb is just unloading. I mean, I will say this about this. Like, Gibb has obviously put some time into his cardio. He's looking fairly good for how tired he must be because he has been throwing a ton of punches. Swigler is definitely looking out of control. And some good head movement by Gibbler, who just throws a nice straight jab. And again, following up with some wild hooks. Again, Swigler is just looking like a punching bag here a lot. And a big uppercut. And again, he pushes him through the ropes. The fact that Swigler can't even not stay on his feet and is getting pushed down and bullied. This fight is going to go to Gibb whether there is a knockout or not. And he's getting a warning, I believe, for pushing him there. Swigler is slouched against the ropes currently as the referee is talking to Gibb. So Gibb's coming back straight out, put their hands up. Nice body shot. He's going for the body now. And now again, these guys are just trading blow for blow. Swigler and Gibb just throwing for the fences. I mean, Swigler's obviously working on a hope and a dream of that he can land that winning shot. And that is the end of round 3. The arena's on their feet, giving them some claps, giving these guys the kudos. Gibb in the corner, breathing quite heavy. He has definitely been the aggressor of the fight. Here we see him push him through the ropes. Again, they're just showing the replays here. I mean, both of these guys are just throwing wild hooks. Actually, Swigler landing some decent shots there, even though they were wild. They were landing. He is looking gassed, though. He is looking tired as his corner is basically spraying him with water. He's breathing very heavy. He looks defeated already, sitting back there. Gibb definitely looking a lot more fresh. He's got a little bit of a welt underneath his left eye. And, of course, we got a bleeding nose in the case of Swigler. That looks to be still bleeding a fair bit. But you can tell he does not want to go out there. I've seen fighters that definitely don't want to go back out into the ring. That is definitely how he is looking. Hey, good to see you, Oren. Thanks for tuning in. I am just obviously streaming my reaction. Fortunately, no video here. I am just listening to it on the headphones, watching the fight, and giving my commentary as they would in probably the early days of radio. So touching their gloves for round 4, which apparently is the final round. Swigler throws a couple punches, both miss. Gibb in a low stance, jumps up, throws an uppercut, missing as well. These guys, the pace is slowed. They're actually throwing a little bit better boxing form at this point, mainly because I think they just don't want to sit there and trade punches like they were earlier. A nice jab there by Gibb. Gibb moving again, throws a hook, ducked by Swigler. He's looking very gassed. Again, Gibb pushing the action and moving Swigler back into the corner. Gibb, again, he's starting to work the body now. Being the short fight it is and the guy's gassed, I wouldn't worry about that too much unless there's a big opening. But he is keeping him at bay. He's not letting him throw anything. Now he's throwing a couple combos. Swigler ducks his head. And, of course, Gibb pushing it down, getting a warning from the ref. And, of course, the ref warning Swigler to keep his head up and keep going. Again, in the center of the ring now. Again, Gibb pushing the action. Swigler is just kind of there throwing lazy rights from the back, which are terribly slow. He's trying to keep his hands up and block, but he is essentially just eating punches. A good attempt at a combo there from Swigler. Gibb showing decent form, actually, keeping his hands up still. Good head movement at this juncture, but dropping his hands when he's doing so, leaving himself kind of wide open. And again, this being an amateur fight, I would be... and there you go. He's in the corner again. Swigler is just getting pounded on. Good body shot as well. Good to see you, Jerry. He is taking a beating. A good left uppercut there, landing squarely on Swigler. Gibb is just pushing the action, has him pushed against the ropes now. Gibb continues to go, and that is the end of the fight. Essentially, we're going to see Gibb take this fight, I think, by unanimous decision. He had won all 4 rounds, pushing the action. Jay Swigler doing his best, not to do it. He looked pretty defeated, very early in the fight, getting pushed out of the ring twice. And it's just one of those things that, again, this is amateur boxing at its not its best, but, I have to give it to anybody that steps foot in the ring. That is, a brave thing to do, and it takes a lot of work to get yourself into a point where you look decent. The guy's hugging it out now in the center of the ring, good sportsmanship being shown. I think this is the last time we're going to see any kind of sportsmanship being shown in this fight. Next up is Deji, of course, against Jake Paul, and I don't think there's going to be any sportsmanship there. If you guys watch the weigh-ins, you know that there is definitely some bad blood there, so there you go. Jerry says, I found somebody streaming the fight on a TV. That is fantastic. Well, there you go. You saved yourself, I believe it's $13. So, very, very interesting, that this is going. I just sort of jumped in now. This is the first fight I've watched. It was fairly decent as far as fights go, but it's definitely amateur boxing at its best, or not its best, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to see what happens here. My stream is cut out a couple times, so we will see how this goes. Hopefully, we'll keep things going. Again, if you are watching here, I want to hear your predictions. We've got Jake Paul versus Deji. Throw in the comments here who you think's going to win, what round, and how it's all going to end. And of course, we've got Logan Paul versus KSI. If you want to do that for that as well, but we'll start with the Deji versus Jake Paul fight. So Deji versus Jake Paul. Throw your predictions in the comments there. I am going to go with Jake Paul in this. I think Jake Paul is going. I think he's going to knock him out in the first couple rounds. I don't think Deji has got the skill, the size, or, the experience, and I don't think he's just wired that way. So here we go. We have the decision coming up. $40-35. So Gibb takes it, unanimous decision, as we thought. Did Logan Paul get punched in the face yet? Not yet. Gibb and Swigler just finished. We've got Jake Paul and Deji coming up next once they get, sort of the presentation and commentary done here after this fight. Again, throw your predictions in the comments. Mine is for Jake Paul. I think Deji is going to take a beating during this fight. I think it is not going to go well for him. It's going to be an interesting fight. I don't think anyone has skill. I will say this. I will say that as far as those who have been training, I think that KSI does have a little bit of skill. He had his one fight against Joe Weller. Joe Weller, who is on the commentary bench currently with True Geordie. Essentially, he showed well. And if he's built on that and with who he's been training with, I think he will do all well. Oh, here we go. This is crazy. This is it. Gibb calling out Joe Weller, just called him a bitch. It's going all WWE. What the hell? Oh my God. And you see, this is what I can't stand about this whole thing. Is that, you know, I mean, a little bit of tongue-in-cheek in what they were doing there, but, you know, it's a little disappointing as somebody that has fought in the ring to see this kind of stuff. It's just a little bit overboard in my opinion. But, you know, again, good for those guys for stepping in the ring, but the theatrics afterwards and the YouTube-esque kind of, you know, banter is something that I wouldn't definitely go for. I mean, it just, no class. Like, just, there's just no class in that. Gib, if you're watching this at any point, that was a bitch move, buddy. You know, you win a fight, you know, be gracious about it, all that kind of stuff. Focus on that, enjoy it for a little bit. Don't be going, it's just absolute garbage. Glad you don't train in my gym, buddy. That's all I can say. So there you go. 2 fights left for the night. Like I said, about 675 people in there. And there we're going to go. Yeah. It was kind of, you know, an interesting fight. Like I said, I don't think the caliber of this one was particularly good, but not bad as far as amateur goes. You know, Jay Swingler did not look like he was in his element, and he looked gassed out in the first round. So, I mean, very, very interesting, you know, how that all sort of went. Of course, they've got Shannon Briggs now in the talking ringside as we move into the Deji KSI sort of fight coming up. So, going to be interesting how it all goes. So again, we got Deji versus Jake Paul. Throw your predictions in the comments. For prosperity and bragging rights later, that's all it's going to do. My prediction, I'm going to put it in there. Jake Paul in 2 rounds by TKO. There you go. Good to see you back, Pete. Throw your prediction in the comment. Let us know who you think is going to win. Again, my prediction, Jake Paul in round 2, TKO is how it's going to go. It's funny, Shannon Briggs saying it's all about entertainment, all about everybody enjoying themselves. I don't think that sentiment's going to last for the next 2. I mean, unless, there we go, GSG TKO. Okay, Comedy Shorts Gaming by TKO. What round do you think that's going to happen in, Pete? That's the interesting choice. The reason I didn't pick Comedy Shorts Gamer is that I just find Deji's demeanor isn't necessarily there. I don't know if that's because he's younger brother of KSI, and KSI has always kind of overshadowed him, so he's a little more humble and something along those. But at the end of the day, you know, I just don't think he's got the skill. And I mean, to me, he was looking a little pudgy at weigh-in, to be honest. You know, both Jake and Logan Paul looking absolutely ripped. Again, these guys, you know, wrestled, not fighting. But, you know, and what do we have going on now? Oh, we've got a rap act going. Jesse Malone, I think is what he just said. I was too busy talking to pay attention. Just imagine some rap music going there. I mean, in all honesty, I think these YouTubers should have stuck to just the diss tracks and all that kind of stuff. Hey, good to see you, Woodrow. Thanks for joining in, lurking on the throne and watching some daily JD React action at the same time. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. If you do have a prediction, we are already at Deji versus Jake Paul. Throw your prediction in the comments for prosperity and bragging rights in years to come that you called the fight. Pete has his in. I have mine in. I'm predicting Jake Paul round 2 by TKO. Pete going the opposite way so he can have bragging rights over me going Comedy Shorts Gamer by TKO in round 3. And there we go. Peter says he hates the Paul brothers. And I think that's kind of the hype that has made this an interesting kind of, spectacle for YouTube, is that, with the Suicide Forest, with Logan Paul, and, some of the controversies around both the Paul brothers and the whole family as a whole, essentially, the fact that people were very, very upset with them and in fact, despise them as much as they do. I think it's made this kind of event much more than it is because, a lot of people probably just tuning in just to see them get punched. I know that, if we were to have another celebrity boxing match with Justin Trudeau, I am pretty sure that Jerry, who is watching this as well, would be in here like a dirty shirt to watch Justin Trudeau get punched in the face. When you dislike somebody that much, they are going to basically want to see these things happen to them. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen for Jake Paul. I just think that's kind of a mismatch. Like I said, KSI, I give the edge to KSI, but you never know. I mean, you never really know with these guys. Again, Logan Paul walked into that weigh-in looking extremely ripped. The guy has been training probably very, very hard. KSI also looking very, very good, but, a much different build. I will say that, if you've watched Logan Paul stuff in the past too, Logan Paul is definitely an athlete. I have seen him on American Ninja doing the course there and doing very, very well. So, I mean, guy's an athlete, so you can't necessarily count him out 100%. They've got some Bears the Destroyers in there. Peter Free says, the suicide stunt just lost all respect for me. And absolutely. I mean, those guys went there and, I think they were kind of joking about it, and then it just kind of went south, and they definitely did not handle it well. And that's really kind of the thing that, to me was the end of Logan Paul. So I have to agree with you there. Jerry says, I sure would. I hate Zoolander. Biggest embarrassment to Canada. So there you go. I mean, you must watch that fight where Trudeau fought Justin Brazeau and got whacked every once in a while in the face. You must have that on loop or something like that to watch every once in a while. But, yeah, I mean, it's celebrity boxing is interesting in those regards, in the sense that people are basically paying to see you get punched, either because they hate you or they want to see you win because they love you. But it is most definitely usually the hate portion of it that is, the thing. There you go. Peter says, Trudeau, sorry. There you go. Mom's Universe says, I'm going Deji due to Paul being disqualified for blank. That might actually be a good call. I don't know how well disqualifications would work in this, mainly because these guys are kind of first fight, but disqualification might happen. Jake Paul is definitely taking this a lot more personally, I think, than he probably should. For those of you who were watching a lot of the run-up stuff or didn't watch the run-up stuff, essentially what happened is Deji has been calling him a bitch to his face, the whole time. Jake Paul has kind of been taking his stride. I will say one thing about Jake Paul is that he's just kind of letting it roll and letting it go and being very, very calm about it. But I think it's finally gotten to him. Deji showed up to his open training with his posse, and Jake just basically slapped him in the face because, he was intruding on his space. There was a little bit of scuffle afterwards. So, I mean, it's going to get interesting during weigh-ins. They did not weigh in together. They did not face off because Jake said, I'm just going to punch him in the face. I think Jake is really, really hyper-focused. So at the end of the day, I think, Jake might have an advantage just because he is really in it. He's vested in it. He wants to win. But to the same extent, if he lets his anger get away with it and he goes out there and he expends too much energy and Deji is, a little bit of a sleeper, maybe he's been, showing sort of his videos more as a clown perspective, not showing what he's really been doing, then we might be in for a little bit of a surprise. But we will see. Peter says, I hope their mother would be proud in what the Paul brothers did. Dude needs to stop singing and get his show on the road. Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. I'm kind of almost glad that this day worked out the way it did. Initially, like I said, I had planned on having a little event at the rec room, have some poutine, all that kind of stuff. But, because of the time and when the rec room opened, wasn't necessarily that. We had to film the podcast today as well. So once we got that done, that's when I started streaming this, knowing when I knew that essentially the main event fights hadn't gone. Otherwise, I would have probably just watched, at a later date somewhere else. But we got it streaming now. When I started watching, they had some guy doing juggling with the soccer ball, kind of that trick style stuff. Again, this is just kind of the YouTube influence into the world of boxing. It is a sideshow. This is, this is when it's not really about fighting. It's about personality, and it's about, sort of the, popularity of people more than anything else. I would like to think that people, are watching this stream, and going to enjoy the boxing part. But like I said, it's going to be hard because it is very, very amateur. Peter Freeze says 1:30 p.m. BS Corner. I'm not sure what that exactly means. What time is it now? It's 1:30 now. There we go. Oh my God. And the singing is not exactly what I would consider good. The guy's just walking around. I will do my impression of him right now. Ooh. 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 And I'm not even kidding. That's what it is. Ooh. There it is. Ooh. There it is. Terrible. Terrible. All right. I think we're going to get the guys brought to the ring. So the second rapper of the night is pretty much done. I have to say, they've obviously hired a production company to film this event. They're using a lot of the fly cans. They're down at the case, Joe Weller and True Geordie. They're talking with them, color commentators. Yeah. So there has been a ton of, sort of talk going around this. Again, there's some bad blood. I believe at some point, actually, too, I do recall that Jake Paul did actually show up, found Deji, threw him some boxing gloves and said, let's fight. Deji refused to do so at the time. So it's going to be interesting. I think these guys are going to go out, and I think the first round is going to be very, very fast-paced. I don't think there's going to be a lot of feeling out. I think, there are going to be bombs. Like I said, I think the emotion might get behind these guys, and, essentially, it's going to be interesting. We've got some tweets going on. Thanks for the retweet, Woodrow. Thanks for tweeting out the stream. My reaction, I typed out my reaction to KEI. Bad for sort of getting people in here maybe, but like I said, at the end of the day, this is going to be the interesting fight. These are the two fights that I am interested in, mainly because of all the buildup. It's going to be interesting. And like I said, the aftermath is probably going to be very, I think, ugly at the end of the day. You know, I think especially for Logan Paul, if Logan Paul loses, this is not going to be good for him. You know, and we may see him disappear for a little bit. If he wins, I'm not even sure how he's going to react. You know, Jake Paul, same thing. I think Jake Paul's just been kind of doing his thing. He's been keeping his low profile-ish that he's been doing for a while and trying to keep out of, you know, things. But I think, you know, some of the calling out and the calling will be very, very interesting after the fact. Like I said, we had Gibb here going up to Joe Weller right after and basically yelling in his face, saying, I want you, I want you. And Joe Weller's just, you know, sitting at the commentary bench doing his job. You know, very, very WWE, very, very, you know, wrestle-esque. And just like I said, it doesn't really have kind of a place, in my opinion, in boxing. You know, like, I mean, sometimes you do get asked in the ring who you want to see next, and by all means, like, you know, call out who you want to call out, but jumping in their face. So we got tail of the tape. We got Deji, 21, both guys, 21, Jake Paul. Deji shorter of the two at 5'10" versus 6 feet of Jake Paul, so he's got a little bit of a reach advantage coming into this. We definitely have a weight advantage. Deji at 174 pounds, Jake Paul at 189. That is significant. You know, that is going to be a big difference. That 15 pounds, Jake Paul's going to hit harder, and, you know, he is definitely going to be able to throw Deji around. And like I said, Jake Paul is ripped, Deji looking a little pudgy. So, I mean, that weight, I mean, if Deji were ripped, he'd probably drop maybe 5, 6, 7 pounds. So he's actually, you know, fighting out of a division. Of course, we've got a 4-inch reach advantage for Jake Paul, which is also going to be huge if these guys have the boxing skills. And I will say this is a lot of times in amateur, that reach advantage, guys are not centered enough. They are not going to sit there and do what they have to do. They're not able to work the jab as well. They lack the confidence. They don't control movement as well as they should. And then reach doesn't become such a big issue because a lot of times they're just throwing haymakers going, you know, toe to toe, and that's kind of how it goes. So ultimately, I think, you know, it's going to be interesting. Mentioned by Book With Me. Thank you. Thanks for the retweet there, Pete, and getting it out there that we're going. But again, you know, like if we look at the numbers here, we've got over 700,000 watching. So we are well over the $9 million mark for this fight. I am going to imagine that this is pulled in at least $10 million. Jerry says Jake Paul is going to knock him out by round 2. I agree with you. That is my prediction as well. He's going to go by TKO. I don't think he's going to knock him out cold. I think the ref is going to stop it. But I think that's a good call. Jake Paul is definitely, like I said, Jake Paul is an athlete. Deji is someone who I think kind of got roped into this because of his brother. I think KSI, his personality is a lot different than that of Deji. I think that just because it was a brother versus brother thing and he got roped in there and, you know, maybe took it a little too seriously, too late in the game. You know, those guys also doing things like if you've been watching KSI and Deji both released diss tracks, made music videos. To me, that's time wasted. I mean, okay, you know, this is YouTube. You're trying to get views. You're trying to get, you know, sort of people onto your music. You know, it was released on Vivo. But, you know, at the same day, like, I mean, when I fought, I did not go releasing diss tracks about the guys that I was about to fight. I was focused on the fight. I would train 3 days a week. I would go in the gym in the morning. I would do my 10K run. I would lift weights. I would go basically do circuit training in the afternoon. I would skip several rounds, do circuit weight training, and then I would go to the club at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and typically train till between 9 and 11 o'clock at night. Those were 9-hour days, and that's what I did. And I lived, ate, breathed, and slept it. That's all I did. I did not have time to make videos. When I was doing fighting professionally, I was not making videos. I was not making films. I was just doing the fight. So a countdown coming now. Looks like they're going to start introducing the fighters. So we got a little pre-roll video. It looks to be, yes, Jake Paul. So we've got, you know, sort of that cinematic talking about it. Again, he's looking super fit. He's looking focused. So there you go. Jerry says this dude has 2K subs by streaming the fight in 20 minutes. Insane. Where's he streaming it, on YouTube? He's probably gonna get he'll get shut down, I think, at the end of the day. Like it's but you know what? All the power to you, I guess, if you're gonna get away with it, and I would be deleting that right after you're done. So we got rap videos going on, you know. Again, maybe he's not taking this as serious as I thought he was, you know, but it's very, very interesting to see this kind of stuff. Mom's Universe says, yeah, probably have been much better to train so you can win and fight, then make the disc video after the fight's won. Exactly, because at the end of the day, you know, these guys are not fighters yet. They might, you know, I'll show some respect and say maybe if they continue to focus and train and all that kind of stuff, maybe they can, you know, carve out a little amateur career and do well for themselves as an amateur / semi-pro boxer in this way. But I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, why not make the videos afterwards? I'm sure that's going to happen anyways. But you know, focus, get it done. Then you've got all the bragging rights, and then it's thing. And then after that, you really don't have anything to prove. But like I said, I think a lot of people are going to be calling people out left, right, and center after this, and this is going to become a bigger thing. So we got Bruce Buffer in the ring. Here comes Jake Paul. They got like big neon things, and again, for an amateur fight, this is crazy. All in white. What the hell is Jake Paul mask? White Bane mask, and he's got a fanny pack, and he's, like I said, in pure white, silver white. There you go. Jerry says his camera's on the TV, good feed, nice and clear. I'm not sure what's with this mask. I'm glad that you're watching this as well, Jerry. I'm not sure what is going on. I'm not sure who the little lady beside him is with the dreadlocks or guy. But he's coming in there wearing a lot of bling, you know. Oh, it's a rapper. She is rapping now, or he is rapping now. I think it's her. So again, very, very theatrical is the way to put it. So he's got some kind of weird leather road warrior stuff on his shoulders of his robe as well. I don't know. It looks like he's kind of like pulled out of a weird game of Mortal Kombat. At the end of the day, this is something to actually really kind of behold. His necklace says "fuck Jake Paul," I believe, as well. A nice little Fortnite dance in there to boot. I don't know. This is like a little too much for me, man. This is messed up. Some messed up shit. Again, you know, his entourage here is rapping. They've just taken off the mask. Again, you know, some rap stuff going on between Jake and this young singer. You know, it's something else. Jerry says, I'm surprised he's not wearing any sponsor labels. It looks like he's got some sort of sponsorship on the back. RNBA, it looks like. But maybe he has an RNBO, whatever that is, he's got on his back. So he's got a little bit of message. It's just very hard to see. Not very, you know, dominant in his outfit. Again, you know, Jerry's got a fantastic point there. I'm surprised that somebody didn't, you know, pay for advertising space. You know, one of the best advertising stunts that was ever pulled in boxing was probably when I think it was Jerry Cooney fought Mike Tyson, and he sold advertising space on the bottom of his shoes. So when he got knocked out, I don't know actually if it was Jerry Cooney It was, I'm trying to remember his name now. I think I got the name wrong there. But anyways, one of the guys, one of the great white hopes that fought Mike Tyson and got knocked out, actually sold advertising on the bottom of his shoes just in case he did get knocked out, which he did. He lasted one round. He got knocked out by Tyson, and then he got, sort of the reputation of a glass jaw from that one fight. So there you go. Okay, they're definitely putting on the Vaseline now, making sure that hopefully he's not going to get cut. It's again going to be interesting. These are taking quite a while, and this is kind of interesting as well, because this is where these guys are going to get drained. Now they're playing Deji's video. The crowd is going crazy, of course. KSI and Deji, or Comedy Shorts Gamer, will be the hometown favorites, being that the fight is being held in Manchester and that they're there. So, I mean, he's going by the name Tank, which I think is funny. I think it's self-proclaimed. But Deji has been looking, as far as I'm concerned, terrible. And they're showing his montage video now. And it's more about his posse and his theatrics than what I would say fight skill. He just hasn't been looking good. I will say, in this video, he is looking a little more confident, but, these are just little short clips. Mom's Universe says, wow, that's thinking ahead when you're going to get KO'd. So there you go. Yeah, and this is early on in boxing history sort of thing. And, advertising spots like that, I mean, you don't see the golden palace that you do today, written on people that you would back then. Got to keep them faces pretty, laugh out loud. Yeah. Absolutely got to keep those faces pretty for YouTube. I would actually be kind of scared if somebody got hurt and how it would, sort of play out for their career. So, Bruce Buffer introduces Deji. The crowd goes a little crazy. And here we go. Again, the video screen, pumping his name, Deji. Let's see how Deji comes out. Will he have a Bane mask? What colors he's going to be wearing? Is he going to be playing his diss track? Probably. And I don't know. He's kind of waddling like a duck. That's not really confident, and he's got a security escort, and that's it. He's looking just kind of there. I don't know. He's wearing red trunks, Tank on the shorts. He is wearing a bandana around his face, gangster style. But just, sort of his slow waddle to the ring like a duck doesn't instill a lot of faith in me. I think, it's kind of interesting that that's the case, And my stream has just paused. Okay, I'm trying to get my stream back. No, I can't. It won't refresh. I'm just curious, Jerry, if you still got a stream going, or if this whole thing has just kind of gone down. You've not missed anything. You have missed that essentially my stream has gone down. If anybody could do the same for me as well, do you want to DM me that link there, Jerry? Because I cannot get this going on YouTube. It is not going.
To believe my eyes even less. So let's meet our next...
Let's see if we can get this going. Looks like my stream is lagging now too. All right, there we go. For whatever reason, I'm trying to get my... Yeah, I'm lagging out here big time. We will see how it goes. Send them to the corners. Jake Paul versus Wedgie the Tank. Oh my God, it's such a terrible nickname. Like, this guy is... We'll see. Maybe he is a tank. I don't know. Here we go. Round one, and we are off. Low stance from Jake. Deji actually looking fairly comfortable. I'm actually impressed. This feeling out. Oh. And then Jake Paul just lands a left hook, and now Deji is covering. Deji throws a couple back. Jake Paul obviously has the power, looking like a much bigger fighter. Jake in the white, Deji in the red and white, both wearing white gloves. Deji leaning very far back on his left, leaning back. Deji with a nice little combo there, moving in. A little show of confidence. I can honestly say maybe I've underestimated Deji a bit, but Jake Paul... What I don't like about Jake is his hands are down. Throwing them quite low, leaving Deji a good opportunity to throw a decent punch into the head if he had any kind of speed. Deji, I'm impressed with where his hands are. Not bad. Deji's got his hands working. Jake is, I am surprised at this point. And, Jake throws a couple jabs in there. Deji backs up, covers up. He's worked Deji into the corner there. They're now clinching against the ropes. Good job by Deji. I can say that I am actually impressed with how Deji is looking at this point. I thought this would go a lot different. The only problem is that Deji's throwing his arms out wide. Jake is definitely throwing a good left jab. Although Deji just landed something, I think it hurt Jake a little bit. Knocked his mask. Jake puts it back up. Again, we've got some good jabs. Some good movement. Jake is definitely the one pushing the action. Deji staying to the outside of the ring. Announcer saying heavy breathing from both. And good combo by Deji. Nice solid punches. Jake Paul now bleeding from the face. Bleeding nose, bleeding mouth. He just eats a couple more. Oh, he just takes a solid right from Deji. Deji is looking good. Jake Paul is not going to have pretty white gear for much longer. And, yep, definitely, Jake Paul is definitely bloodied up. I have to say this, if Deji's going to go out and work like this, I suspect that KSI is going to do some work on Logan Paul. Deji, I thought, was the weakest fighter out of all this group, and he is definitely proving to be a very, very, accomplished So the announcers are talking about that Jake may be a bleeder, that this may not be unusual for him. That does happen to guys. It definitely happens where they are, suspect to bleeding noses and stuff like that. I myself have had my nose cauterized because you'd punch it once, it would bleed. One didn't mean I was in any kind of trouble, just like to bleed. So Jake again pushing in, Deji barely out of his corner. Jake, fighting a little way too low. And again, like I said, his hands are way too low. And the good thing for Deji is that he is capitalizing on that, throwing good combinations. A wild, wild left thrown by Jake there. You see Deji pushing the action now. Jake Paul is now on the back pedal, and he's taking a couple good shots. Deji doing very, very well. Ooh. A nice right hook by Jake. I agree, Josh. Jake's hands are way, way too low. He's also leaning way too far forward with his head for my liking. That jab that he's throwing has to come a long way. I mean, granted, he is fast, but, he would be doing much better if his hands are up. Deji showing really good form with his hands in the pocket there. His defense isn't the best, but, I'm a lot more impressed with, his stance, where he's holding his hands, and just, how he's sort of reacting to it. He's taking it all in stride. This is only round 2, and I can honestly say as well that essentially, stamina is going to play a part. There's a nice little tight uppercut there by Deji in the clinch, and nice as they break. You know, although he's getting a warning for that. Less than a minute left in the round. We've got 6 rounds in this fight, so we're in 2 of 6. You know, these guys are going to be super gassed when they get to round 6. Oh, a big hook by Jake. Jake pushing the action. Deadly circling his backhands, a little bit of theatrics from him. I don't think that's well advised. Focus on the fight. Do it away. Nice hook there by Jake. Again, action slowed down a fair bit. I think these guys are definitely tired. Couple jabs. And there we go. That's the end of round 2. It's looking pretty even so far. I mean, first round I would give to Deji by a slight bit. Second round I would call even. So currently I would have Deji ahead in points. We've got 4 more rounds to go. Again, this fight much different than I thought it would be. I would have expected. You know, Deji definitely has his moments of aggression, pushing out. Yeah, it was a good body shot, and then a nice uppercut by Deji as they're, you know, going, you know, some good heads up by both of them. You know, we definitely thought this, you know, the announcer saying not a steamroller. I think that's what a lot of people expected. I think a lot of people expected Jake Paul, including myself, to go out there and steamroller Deji. But, you know, kudos for him for, you know, preparing a little bit better than anticipated. You know, he's looking a lot better than anything that I saw prior to rolling into this fight. So, there you have it. I'm just going to adjust my camera here a little bit. Stamina is definitely key, especially in amateur fighting, Pete. I would say it's the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that, you know, is important when training a fighter, especially early on, is that they need to have good stamina. Oh, a big shot from Jake. You know, and what I like what Deji's doing is he's eating some punches, but he is going out and he is throwing back. He is not relinquishing, you know, he's not just letting, you know, Jake Paul walk over him, you know, when he gets a couple good shots in. We got a clinch going on. The announcers have Jake ahead at this point. I would say I would have Deji slightly ahead at this point. I don't know if they're fighting amateur rules, if they're just fighting from a strict point of landing jabs and all, you know, the shots. I would agree that Jake Paul is ahead. You know, good flurry. Oh, that is solid. Again, the clinch, you know, we are in round 3. These guys are gassed. You know, I think at the end of the day, you know, we're going to see some interesting stuff. Deji backed into the corner, but fights his way out. He does a good job. Good exchange between both guys. You know, again, you know, Deji eats some punches and he answers back, which is good. But he is looking tired. You know, And I will say that Jake Paul is doing a good job working that jab. I'm going to break it up here as Deji gets swung around to his back. I think, Deji's going to maybe run out of gas. And again, this comes down to, sort of conditioning. The Paul brothers looking phenomenal conditioning-wise. Deji looking a little, a front hand and then a backhand. He gets warned about the backhand swing. So in boxing, you can throw this way, but you cannot throw back that way. Deji throwing a little bit wild. That tells me he's getting very, very tired and that, it's starting to take his toll. It looks like he is breathing quite heavy. That's awesome. Let me see if I can get my stream going back here. But thanks for Jerry for the intermittent link to help keep me up to date. I'm thinking the same thing, Jerry, as well. I think that Jake might lose this one, although I do think after that round he is ahead on points. That's just the nature of amateur boxing. He is landing clean shots. That jab is definitely going to add up point total wise. I think that you're going to have a decision there, and that's going to be an interesting thing as well, whether or not it gets on points. Again, Jake, nice combo there. Working the jab to the hook. Deji needs to get out of that corner at the moment. Jake has him. He's working jabs and body. Deji does a good job of tying him up and moving out a little bit. Deji either is hurt or extremely gassed at this point. His hands are completely down now at his waist now. And this is allowing Jake to throw that jab in, indiscriminately. Essentially, Deji just walked into those punches there. You're just walking in. His hands are down. Every time he's moving in now, Jake is not throwing with a ton of power, but he's definitely throwing enough. Does a good job, Jake Paul there, getting pushed into the corner and then spinning out. Now Deji in the corner. Jake Paul lining him up, throwing some jabs, lining him up, and a uppercut. A huge uppercut. Deji's hands are now down by his waist. Very, very similar stances now. Again, Deji trying to line up and, throw the big haymaker. I think that's what he's going for. Again, this round especially, Jake Paul is ahead. You got a minute left in the round. Jake Paul definitely looking stronger. Deji throwing big overhand haymakers, not landing on the time. A jab from Jake snaps Deji's head back again and again and again. Now he's working the body. And a nice hook. A nice hook. And that looked like it hurt him a bit. Good job by Deji tying things up. Crowd chanting for Deji. Again, the fact it's in the UK. Now, a lot of these punches now that Deji's throwing are just kind of going. He's asking for an adjustment. I think that essentially Deji is gassed, and now he is looking for any way to take a rest. Yeah. and the announcer has just basically said the same thing. This is Deji wanting a breather. Deji is in a lot of trouble now, and I think, this is where conditioning pays off in amateur fighting. I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, conditioning can win fights for amateur fighters. I'm a firm believer in that. Deji is trudging around there looking very, very defeated, almost at a point. Jerry says this is a solid round for Jake, and I would agree. Deji is definitely tired. Jake Paul taking his time. Both fighters now get their rest as we end the round, and I would definitely put it all to Jake Paul now. Jake Paul's still bleeding from the nose. Working the body, and that hook right there, if you're watching the replay, that did a lot of damage. So this round, definitely Jake Paul, and I would have Jake Paul slightly ahead in the cards at this point. I mean, definitely that nose that's been bleeding since the first round is definitely mucked up Jake's white pants and all that kind of stuff. It is definitely nice and pink. Nice and pink. So we're in round 5 now. Deji comes out swinging. Oh, a good left hook by Deji. Jake going for the body. Oh! A big overhand from Jake. Oh! Oh! And a body shot. Deji covered up. That definitely hurt him. He's got him in the corner. He is working it. He is working it. The ref steps in, stops it. They threw... What? Wow. That just happened. I cannot believe that Deji's corner threw in the towel. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I would be so upset if I was Deji at that moment. Yes, you were in trouble. Yes, that you may be exhausted, but come on, like that is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh my God, that is insane. That is absolutely nuts. So there we have it. Deji loses to Jake Paul. TKO in the 5th round. So my call of the 2nd round does not come to fruition. I agree, Jerry. That was totally weak. Like, I don't understand why you would throw in the towel like that. Like, after, at the end of the day, like, why would you do that? I'm just taking my headphones off for a second here, because when I hear the chatter in there, it's I just don't get it. Like, why would you throw the towel in at that point? I mean, yes, you're taking some shots to the body. Yes, you took a headshot. Like, that's again, like, why? Why would you do that? It was insanely insanely weak by the corner. Like, whether or not Deji is happy with that decision or not, I guess we will remain to be seen. But, you know, I thought the ref was stepping in to give him a standing 8, you know, not necessarily in the fight. But, wow, it just... I'm a little bit shocked at that one, you know. So... I don't know. For those of you guys who are watching currently, what did you think of that? What did you think of the fact that they threw in the towel at the end of the day? I don't know. Like, it's, yeah. I have to say, I so disappointed in that. Like, it was kind of sad. You know, and I think for Deji after this, it's going to be very, very interesting to see exactly how it all sort of pans out for him. So, craziness. All right, let's see if we can get this stream going again. I've got the big ball of death going. Incredible. We're going to see Jake Paul get his hand raised here. Or we're not. Jake Paul saying that he hopes Deji learned to think about the things that he said, but saying he respects him. Jake Paul saying that he's fighting against all the things that he'd been combating during the year, whether it be, you know, the controversies and, you know, the friendships and all the things that have gone wrong. What happened, Josh, was that basically Deji's corner threw in the white towel when Jake Paul had him in the corner during the 5th round. So essentially, Jake Paul winning by TKO. Deji definitely in trouble, was definitely gassed, was definitely losing steam. He looked good early on, but again, fitness came into play, and essentially, you know, that was the end of it for him. Josh says this kid is getting mad subs. Interesting. That's crazy. Kid had a few hundred subs, goes to 5.7, almost 6K. Yeah, I guess it just goes to show you, you know? It's all about the content. I, on the other hand, am still struggling at 1K. Oren says, I'm still here. Be right back. Gonna grab some shawarma. Nice. Nice. Shawarma, always a good thing. I need to go to Forest Lawn again pretty quick and grab some shawarma, to be honest. Great shawarma place there. Just off by where the Target used to be and Gracie Fight Club and where my old tattoo studio was. Love it. Great place. Good food. Great portions. Best shawarma, I would say, in the city. Deji saying he should have fought a little bit better. People are going to say that he sucks and all those kind of things. He says he'll fight anyone and he needs to prove that this isn't the end of him. So Jake Paul calling out Chris Brown. Interesting. Oren, Jake Paul winner, 5th round by TKO. Deji's corner threw in the white towel. So Jake Paul winner versus Deji. As I predicted, just not in the right round. I know, isn't that crazy? He's calling out Chris Brown. It's just kind of crazy. And this will be interesting to see how Chris Brown reacts to something like this. I mean, again, he's sort of citing the beef between Chris Brown and Soulja Boy that they wanted to fight. It'll be interesting to see if Chris Brown steps in the ring. And again, you know, the fact that this has as many viewers as it has, that it has made as much money as it has today, just goes to show you, you know, that people are going to be interested in this stuff, that this will do well. You know, currently 800,000 people watching the official stream. Again, we will... So we got 800,000 at the great Canadian $13. Oh, So this fight grossing well over $10 million at this point, which is really, really insane when you think about it. You know, the fact that this is also amateur boxing. This isn't, you know, Floyd Mayweather. It's not Conor McGregor. It is not anybody other than a YouTube name. As far as celebrity boxing matches, this is completely unheard. You know, maybe that's the future of fight sports, is that we just take our celebrities and throw them in there, and you know, may the best celebrities survive. You know, maybe we should have more gladiator style. I don't know, but you know, again, you know, better boxing display than I expected from Deji. But again, you know, his gas tank was suspect. So of course we have none other than Logan Paul and KSI up next. We'll ask for your predictions now. I think what's going to happen personally is we are going to say, my prediction is KSI by decision. So I think it's going to go the full way. I think it's going to go, I think it's scheduled for 6 rounds. I think it is going to go to decision. I think KSI will gain that decision. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting fight. I don't think he's going to knock out Logan Paul. Although, this fight might be a little bit closer than I expected. Again, Deji kind of surprised me there. Woodrow says 10 million. I would fight one of them for that much. Laugh out loud. And, that's kind of, I think, what people are going for. I think that people, honestly take a look at that, even as a YouTuber with a decent following, to go out and a one-day payday of potentially, probably once you take it all away, a couple $1,000,000 is not a bad day's work. I would have definitely stepped in the ring for, and I have stepped in the ring for much, much less than that. So there you go. We got picks coming in now. Jerry says 4 rounds, Logan will dominate. Interesting choice. Josh going with KSI. I again, KSI going to go. I think these guys are it's going to be a very similar kind of thing. I think it's going to be KSI is going to do well in the early round. He's going to peter out a bit. I think it's going to be a bit of a endurance war, but I think that both these guys are in good shape, and that it's not going to be as big an issue at the end of the day as it was for Deji. And especially since both of ththese guys have said that they want to go pro. Basically Logan Paul saying that he wants to fight in the UFC, and essentially KSI saying that he wants to turn pro as a boxer. Both these guys have had good training. They've been hanging around good camps. They've had their conversations with guys like Dana White. KSI has been to the UFC training facility. KSI has trained with Mayweather's. Same with Logan Paul. So, I mean, it's interesting, that these guys are getting in with top-ranked guys right off the hop. Again, I think that, essentially moving forward, that this is a bit of a rapid acceleration. Some of the things that they're gaining from this that a lot of other fighters wouldn't get is just dealing with the sort of circus that goes around a big fight, and sort of the rigmarole, whereas they don't really have the fight experience, and they haven't really fought anybody. And as I was talking on Friday's stream as well, you really need to build guys up. You need to essentially get guys going. You need to sort of build them into, getting better and better fights and fighting more and more difficult people. You just can't jump on, the champ and fight the champ tomorrow. It's not going to work out for you. So, again, interesting, that these guys do have aspirations. We've seen it already with the last 2 fights that, people want further fights, and they're obviously willing to train. The good thing, I guess, about that, in the sense that if they are willing to fight and willing to continue training, they will actually probably become fairly okay amateur boxers. They will be able to hold their own. Will they be, championship material? Not necessarily. Could they work to that? Potentially. But, the fact that, it's going to bring some stuff back to fight sports. And obviously, if they have the money to invest in it, and get down to it, it's going to be a very, very interesting sort of ecosystem in YouTube as a whole. Again, $10 million just for pay-per-view is, that's an accomplishment. But again, looking at everything that's going on, I mean, they're in a massive arena. They have announcers, color commentators. They've got a full-on camera crew. The money behind that production, I'm not sure 100% what that is. It'll also be interesting in days to come to take a look at things like the pay-per-view numbers. What did they get on TV for pay-per-view? What did they get on YouTube for the YouTube streams? What kind of things were they, what kind of money they're looking at. Obviously, they sold out a lot of tickets. I'm not sure the capacity of the arena or how much money that would generate, but, when we were talking about it early on, there were some tickets that were in there that were $450, $500 just to, sort of step foot in the ring, and, people obviously paying that kind of money. So, there's a lot of money to be made in it. It'll also be interesting to see how, how that business side of thing works out, because I mean it's obviously well beyond a one-man show. You're talking about teams, you're talking about that, and I mean that's kind of sometimes the dark side of boxing as well. When you look at things, how fighters sort of move up in the system and they get fights, and when they get paid and when they start to get established, and how much promoters take, how much managers take, and how much the boxers get at the end of the day, and how all that works. It can be a little bit bad sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see how this all sort of evolves at the end of the day. So again, thanks for tuning in, guys, on a Saturday, a day that I normally do not stream whatsoever, just to kind of sit here and react to it. Unfortunately, like I said, I can't. It would be nice if I could play the video and have it play and have my commentary as well, but obviously that is not about to happen. YouTube would definitely take that down. So it's going to be an interesting fight, and again, I'm going to be very, very interested with sort of the banter and talk that goes on after these fights as a whole, whether or not this is going to go into something else. I was kind of, to be honest, at the end of all of this, in the last week, I was kind of almost done with it already. The whole thing, the whole theatrics, the whole diss track stuff, all that kind of stuff. It was just, I was kind of done with it, and it was just kind of a little bit insulted by it, a little bit disappointed, in the sense that, it's I fought for a long time, and it just kind of seemed to be making a spectacle of it. But I guess that is what at the end of the day you learn, or expect from YouTube in itself, are those kind of things. So just a little bit of dust there that I wanted to get rid of. You watch me do my house cleaning, and we just lost the camera. All right, we got the camera back. There we go. I'm not sure what happened to the camera there. It just kind of clicked off. But we are just waiting for Jake Paul and KSI. So we will keep it going. I think my headphones knocked the cable out. Something along those lines. So it's going to be a bit, again, I don't know. Was this worth $13? Is the other big question. Entertainment value-wise, I guess, the fact that I got to sit down and talk fighting about people. I mean, it was most definitely not $100 and some pay-per-view, but they didn't charge that. So, kind of cool to see. Very, very interesting. A little bit of a spectacle. So, and my camera, all sorts of weird and wonderful angles there. And my stream is hopefully not going to time out here either. I'm just watching myself. It is a good shot of the top of my head at the moment. So hopefully, you guys, other than KSI and Logan Paul, what do you guys have planned for your Saturday? Do you have anything cool going on? Do you have any videos planned? Like I said, myself and Lloyd, we banged out a few podcasts, which is always good. It's always good to sit down and talk with Lloyd. We talked about some other projects that we have coming up. Talked a lot about legalization and all sorts of stuff. We were joking about some branding stuff, talking about blending a Lloyd and JD weed, things like that, just, to go along with legalization of marijuana in Canada. So we figured we would do that. Mum's Universe says, would you watch something like this again if they were to do another match like this? To be honest, I watched KSI versus Joe Weller, the first one, which was very kind of unknown at the point. Would I do it something like this again? Probably. It's again, it's for me, it's a little bit weird because I love fighting. I love all those kind of sports. I love combat sports. So I would potentially do it again. I've been around a lot of high level stuff in my time. So watching this is kind of I don't know. It's I would love to probably do is maybe train a YouTuber or train somebody to a position where they could go fight these guys. Because in all honesty, that's kind of what I have done in the last, since retiring a little over, well, it's a good time ago. I retired when I was like 32, 33. So it's almost like 18 years now, 17, 18 years now since I retired. So, I mean, I would love to take somebody and build them up to be a great fighter. I would love to build them up. I would love to see some kickboxing, but I mean, obviously, boxing is probably the easiest sport to coach in a sense for that. But I could definitely train some boxers. I could train some MMA guys. I would love to do those kind of things and get people in there, so it would be very, very interesting. I mean, the last event that I went to where I was coach was at the World Games in New York. Just before their last sort of hurricane went through, I went there. So it was a really cool experience because, number one, I got to go there. We didn't know if the event was going to get canceled or not because of the hurricane. The night that we arrived, the hurricane hit. We got in one of the last planes that got there before they canceled all flights in and out of New York. We walked around the next day. It was like a ghost town. There was nobody on the streets, no cars, anything, which was really creepy. And then the fight was a couple days later. Got to hang out with Joe Fraser, which was super, super cool. He was a fantastic guy. The fact that he took the time to sit down, talk with me and my fighter, and took time out of his day to talk with us was something phenomenal. Rest in peace, Joe. That's something that I will never forget, and is one of those experiences. It's not like I trained with Joe or anything like that, but he's just sharing his knowledge and all that kind of stuff, and just a really down-to-earth guy. So that was super, super cool. So, lots of fun. Mom says, just packing, chilling, posting a new vid sometime today. Cool. I took in your candy bar one the other day. Hopefully getting some editing in as well. Awesome. Any plans for the rest of the day? I'm going to go hang out. I'm going to meet up with Jerry a little later on. I think we're going to have some beers, just kind of kick back. I'm just kind of chilling today. My rest of my week and month is probably going to be insane. So I'm just kind of taking it easy today. Like I said, I knew I had to get the podcast done. Knew I'd probably take a look at this, and then, just kind of chilling. Mom says, I love the science of fighting. It really takes a lot to be a great fighter. And I agree. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a whole bunch of things. All right, so we're going back now. They are announcing KSI. So KSI, Logan Paul, we've got 25 versus 23. KSI being the older, 6 feet tall for KSI versus 6'2" of Logan Paul. We've got 187 versus 189, pretty even. We got a 4-inch reach advantage on Logan Paul, so it will be interesting to see if Logan Paul can take advantage of his reach and keep KSI on the outside. So it's going to be a very interesting fight. I mean, these guys are big guys. They're basically light heavyweights. Much bigger than when I used to fight. I used to fight at middleweight. Kid needs to stay out of this video. It's good stuff, Cherry. That is good stuff. So Weller's saying that the experience is kind of, the biggest thing that he is putting in KSI's corner. I agree to a point. One fight is just one fight, but that initial ring experience, I think, though, to be honest and fair, that is a little dismissive of what Logan Paul has done in his life. I mean, Logan Paul was a wrestler in high school, granted not as big as crowds, definitely not boxing, but he does have the experience of going in and competing mano a mano versus somebody. So, it's going to be interesting. So we're just a few seconds away from apparently the guys being called into the ring. I do like that they call it a huge fight. It is a huge fight in terms of people watching, but as far as significance in the fight world, it is what I would say is pretty minimal. So we got the Logan Paul training montage going. Again, some of this stuff is interesting in the sense that these guys, spend a lot of time making these videos. I would have much rather seen them train and fight versus, make these crazy. So Bruce Buffer making the announcements for who's coming into the ring. So Logan, the Maverick Paul being called in. Some cheers, some boos. It is obvious at this juncture that Logan Paul and Jake Paul went to the same stylist and got caught out almost wearing the exact same thing. Thank God that they may have had a conversation beforehand and that Logan decided to take out the black version of what Jake was wearing, just so they didn't look awkwardly the same going into the fight. But essentially the same thing. Jake is wearing pure black with a Bane-like face mask. Playing rap music. He does not have an entourage of rappers, but rather playing a song. So he is getting in the ring now. Jerry says, notice the irony of costumes. White for the good brother, black for the bad brother. That could be a conscientious choice as well, but I think you would want to go with your own sort of style. But, Logan Paul raising his hands, getting a mixed reaction from the crowd. It's going to be, like I said, an interesting fight between these guys. Now, it's interesting. The announcer's saying that it's a couple minutes before KSI enters the ring, so Logan Paul has a little bit of a wait. I'm not sure why that is, or they're going to allow that. I mean, generally speaking, you can't, you know. Trainers are now applying Vaseline to Logan Paul's face. Again, I'm curious. I'm curious what you guys think. You know, take away, you know, sort of the fight at the moment. What do you think happens to Logan Paul if he loses this fight? Do you think that his YouTube career is done? Do you think it is all over with? You know, is this going to be the end of Logan Paul, or do you think that he's just going to full on embrace his bad self and go from there and not really care, ultimately knowing at the end of the day his days are numbered, and just pile on the money until he basically gets, you know, punted out? I mean, you know, again, you know, somebody that still has his number of subscribers and views, most of us, in my position, would kill for. You know, so it is very, very interesting. Is it going to catapult them? You know, if he wins, is it going to get rid of a lot of that stuff, or is it, you know, does it matter if he wins or loses? You know, what about KSI? I mean, obviously, if KSI wins, I feel that it's going to propel his career a little bit further. Obviously, he's going to call somebody out at the end of the fight like he did last time. Who knows where that will be? But at the end of the day, now they're showing KSI's video. Obviously, the crowd is going crazy, being the hometown sort of hero. They're showing his diss track video, or portions of it, going in. So good to see Barrett the Destroyer and some jalapenos in there. Thanks for that, Josh. I don't know. You play your own sort of music prior to entering the ring. I don't know. It's a little bit of a different approach. Josh says if KSI wins, it will be good for him. I doubt Logan will do anything to get his name back like it was. And I agree with that. I think that KSI is good. I think, you know, Logan Paul at the end of the day, it's going to be hard for him to ever get back. So here comes the Nightmare, KSI. So yeah, he's playing his track on point. He's playing his own music going in. Surprised he doesn't rap it himself, to be honest, but it'd be interesting. He's wearing blue trunks, Union Jack prominently displayed on the front. And brought in by security and his trainer. And again, interesting, you know, I would say Jake Paul has the biggest entourage, of course. KSI is wearing a mask, which he did at the weigh-in as well. Forever the Clown is JJ. On the back, the Nightmare, obviously a custom robe. KSI is still in the ring wearing the robe and the mask. I don't know if he's going to fight like this or what. So they are calling this the YouTube World Championship. Bruce Buffer announcing the traditional "Let's get ready to rumble," sets the crowd off. Introductions now. Introducing Logan Paul first.
He's the UK's #1 YouTube social media superstar from Watford, England.
I have to say JJ's mask is a little weird, like the kind of black skull. Looking confident as always, sticking out his tongue. All right, guys, here we go. Good exchange from these guys right off the hop, feeling each other out. Logan throwing some decent jabs for the beginning. KSI being kept to the outside. Good movement. JJ throws a right to the body there. I don't know. He should be setting those up with the left. Trying to throw the jab. He's having to throw it out. The reach. Reach definitely an advantage for Logan Paul. Logan gets a good shot in there. Big overhand right by Logan Paul. Good jab by JJ. Logan do a good Paul working that jab. Dropping his hands. Laughing at him. That's interesting. I mean, these guys are going at it psychologically in the ring as well. Logan is definitely confident, building his confidence as he continues to jab. Here we go, a little more brawly. Logan shaking his head, putting his hands out. He's taunting JJ, essentially showing it, and a big right by... JJ's taking sauce. JJ shakes it off. Logan extends his arms out, saying, "Where is it, JJ? Come on, come to me." Have to say, Logan Paul looking very, very good early on. JJ, not got the swagger that he's got. Logan is definitely punishing him. Josh says, crazy. KSI better step it up. I agree. If you're watching the replays here, you can see that basically, a good left and right. One thing I will say is that I don't like how that Jake is throwing back his head. If you time him right, you'd be able to catch him. But, I mean, JJ not having, sort of the time here to, fight the fight that he wants to fight. And you can see in his face a very different kind of viewpoint from JJ. So, there you go, my little YouTube stream going on. I've got it running on kind of a multiple devices just in case I get buffered. Here we go, round two. Good left right by JJ. Quickly tied up by Logan Paul. Again, Logan moving his head, throwing the jab, sticking with the game plan. These guys looking fairly decent, actually, for amateur fighters. Goes to show you a big over right by KSI, another right. Logan slips the jab, gets in. Wild punches by KSI. JJ obviously not happy with how that first round went, and it has definitely had an effect on him. Again, you know, both Paul brothers fighting with their hands extremely low, you know. Jerry says, KSI out by the 4th round. Good shot by Logan Paul. You know, the funny thing is that Logan, every time he lands, instead of following up, he's definitely putting, you know, some insult to injury there on top of what he is doing, which I think is kind of an interesting tactic. Again, you should just buckle in and do the fight, and then you could say everything you want afterwards, because then it is done. But I think, oh, and that's a left and a right by Logan Paul, followed by another jab. Again, Logan Paul way ahead in this fight so far. He has won round 1, and he is well on his way to running round 2. Some good movement by Logan Paul, moving out of KSI's reach. You know, he's just basically not letting JJ fight the fight that he wants to fight. And, you know, good positions by JJ. He's got his hands up, jab for jab. JJ just trying to throw those rights. Now, this is where fight inexperience comes in. JJ's just trying to land something big, and it's not going to do him any good. A wild punch like that, you know, you just got to settle in and start fighting your fight versus throwing big, wild haymakers to try to earn some face back. It's a 6-round fight. You've got time. Dig in, stick to your game plan, do what you're doing. But he's going to have to make some adjustments because he has not been doing well. You know, Logan Paul, there is a good right. But Logan answers with 3 good solid punches there. Jab, a right, and then another jab. Logan Paul, again, you know, what I don't like what he's doing, keeping his hands low, dropping his hands, making it a little more theatrical. I would not underestimate the power of KSI and a shot. These guys are doing well, trading blow for blow. KSI advancing a little bit more. And, oh, what the fuck was that? What the fuck is that? And we got the corners out, coming out. Security's in the ring. JJ throws a punch after the bell has run, clearly catching Logan Paul. Terrible display of sportsmanship. Brutal. Now you can tell how frustrated KSI is. That was absolutely crazy. But Paul is definitely up 2-0. He is dominating this fight at this point. We got shot after shot. And again, at the end of the round there, terrible sportsmanship shown. Throwing out a punch well after as people are turning on. That's kind of crazy. I agree. Logan is definitely killing it. Here we go. Round 3 is off. Ref having a little bit of a talk with him beforehand. Here we go. JJ, good movement. Logan Paul, again, with his hands down, which I don't like. But a nice, fast combo. Good head movement. Again, Logan just dropping his hands. Like, I'm not sure if Logan just feels that confident that JJ is that slow. But I would not be playing that game. JJ does catch him there, but not terribly solid. Jab by JJ. Big hits. Logan getting some warnings for the rabbit punches in the back. There we go. Some connection. Another good connection from JJ. Logan does look big. He is a big guy. He's over 6'2", almost 200 pounds. Not much fat on the guy. He's going. KSI moves in for a good body shot in the corner there. Logan Paul does a great job of moving out of the corner. KSI, good punch. Logan. Oh, and there is a big counter right from JJ. And a big right, and a big right. Again, Logan Paul needs to get his hands up. Good jab there. You can see that those have hit because the headgear on Logan Paul shifted a little bit. Breathing a little bit heavier between these two guys. KSI obviously wanting to send a message back. Oh, big haymaker misses. Overextended. Logan Paul feeling out with the jabs, throwing the jabs. Some good movement by JJ. Pushing him into the corner. Some heavy breathing going from Logan Paul. Good jab. Some good movement. Oh! Both guys go to the ground. Both just a slip. Good sign of fitness as they both get back to their feet. Nice overhand right by KSI. The clinch going. Ref steps in, breaks it up. There we go. That is the end of the round, round 3. So I would say that that round was a good round for KSI. Maybe slightly ahead. Logan Paul still winning the fight. He's still ahead at least 2 rounds to 1, I would say, in the judges' scorecard. Very could be close. I would give it by JJ's round. I think that he gained it back. It was fairly even all the way through, but JJ with some of those bigger shots. So at the end of the round, I give that to JJ KSI. So we got 2 rounds. Logan, 1 round. KSI. We are into the 4th round coming up out of 6. Like I said, I think this will go to the scorecards. I have to say I'm impressed with Logan Paul. He did a really good job, especially in the first few rounds, keeping him at bay, throwing the jab, and really kind of, getting in JJ's head. But I have to say, after that last round, good job by KSI, staying in there, staying focused, and working on the plan. Although I will say his temperament did get away from him in the second, where he threw the cheap shot after the bell, which he did get warned about. Round 4, here we go. Good jab by Logan. Some good movement by KSI. Logan working that jab, and these guys are definitely throwing. Oh, there's a big right by Logan Paul. KSI is throwing some big, heavy bombs. Logan, if he just times that right, this could be the end of it. JJ is just trying to bring the fight to him. Again, getting tied up. This is going to make these guys really tired as well, all this clinching. Again, stamina will start to play a role as we get on. A good underneath movement. JJ throwing a big right. If you notice, like when he's throwing, or you're not, because you're probably watching this, is he's throwing it from back here. He should be remaining a lot tighter. Not good. We got Logan Paul leaning down on his knee, showing some tire. A nice right by JJ there again. Again, this round turning out to be a fairly good fight. It is still going. It is going right now, Pete. It is round 4 of 6. We're 1:38 left in the 4th round. I have Logan Paul ahead 2 rounds to 1 over JJ. But 4th round, JJ's looking good, bouncing on his feet, moving the jab, got a little bit of his swagger back. Or if you watch Austin Powers, he's got his mojo back a little bit. So he's showing a little more confidence that got rocked in the first couple rounds. So there you go, big right and another big right. The problem is that he's throwing these blindly. He is not basically planting and watching where he's throwing. The jabs, fairly good. You know, a lot of it is deep telegraphed rights. I would like to see KSI fight a little bit tighter, throw those punches, and, you know, essentially, you know, bring the fight to him instead of throwing these big looping things. He's going to get caught. If Logan Paul would just dip down and throw a short left hook, he could end KSI right here. Jerry says KSI looking tired. I would say he's looking all right. Definitely they are both fatigued. You know, there's good movement from KSI. He's still moving around. He's moving on his feet. He's dancing back and forth. When he starts getting a little more flat-footed, that's when I'll be concerned about where, you know, sort of the tiredness is. But I will say that KSI needs to work on that right hand. He is definitely throwing it, looping it out, and throwing it wide. As you just saw there at the end of the round, when he's throwing it, instead of just coming tight, and when I mean coming off tight, coming off your face and short, is he loops back here, and it's throwing from way back here and coming up. Way too much action. You'll get a lot more damage done, you know, sort of at that point. Round 4 is over. I'm going to give that slightly to JJ as well. I would say we are even. This is an even fight, so the last 2 rounds are going to determine who, at the end of the day, is going to win this event. I'm showing the replay of where basically Logan pushes KSI on top, over the top ropes. You know, these guys are definitely standing their ground. They're throwing punches and getting tied up. You know, it's a good display from both of them. You know, again, I think I expected this. Jerry says, I got a new stream found by user Raquel and Josh channel. I'm currently watching on YouTube, so I am good for now unless I get backed up. So like I said, I've got a full screen going, and I've got it running on the phone and the computer just in case one gets thing. A big right off the hook from Logan Paul. JJ coming back with the jabs. You know, all the swagger that Logan Paul had in the first couple rounds is gone. I think he knows now that he's got a fight that is going to last. Good job, Logan Paul, advancing there, pushing JJ into the ropes. Just got shot down. Good job by Logan Paul throwing a couple punches there. JJ trying to keep out, move in, move out. Slips Logan Paul's jab. Logan Paul appealing there, getting a warning for the ref, saying he's got to listen. Obviously, during the break, throwing the punch, getting the warning. KSI looking a little erratic. He's throwing his head around. Again, you know, these guys getting tired. Both doing a good job. Jab, jab, hook. Jab by KSI. Another hook. Those hooks are wild. JJ's getting in trouble. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. Logan Paul is unloaded. He just hit him with a huge right. JJ skipping in. I got Logan Paul ahead at this point. JJ didn't seem terribly affected by a lot of that. He looked like to be in a lot more trouble than he was. Those shots definitely would hurt. But this is going to give Logan Paul the round, I think. You know, that nice flurry, that nice offensive flurry. You know, they got their hands both down at their waist now, KSI and Logan Paul. KSI pressing, throwing the jab. doing the work. But like I said, I think Logan Paul at this point, unless he comes up with a big flurry at the end of this round, is going to go ahead. We got 10 seconds left in the round. Tied up in the ropes. Referee's going to step in, break it up, step them back. JJ pushing forward. Throws a big right that lands. Well, we got to fight, boys. These guys are definitely tired, as Josh indicates, and they're throwing. Logan leading on the ropes, leaning forward, both sitting down in the corner. Round 5 is over. Again, I have basically Logan Paul ahead 3 rounds to 2. JJ breathing heavily in the corner. Watching the replay, there was a lot of good head movement from KSI. He did a good job of covering up, although he did eat that big right hook there. And then a nice right hook by KSI at the end. So KSI has to come out here. You know, in reality, as a fighter, you never want to leave this in the hand of the judges. Somebody's got to come out and knock somebody out. Nobody's going to be happy with a decision here. And here we go. And they are definitely going to try to go for it, but getting locked up. In 3 minutes, we will know. There we go. Oh, big right by JJ. Throws him off onto the ropes. KSI gets warned for throwing him. Nice jab by JJ. Working the body, working up. Good job. JJ's answering round for round. Oh! KS throwing a big uppercut. The problem is now is JJ's diving in with his head. Warning from the referee, telling him to keep his head up. KSI is just trying to keep his head out of the thing. Logan Paul just kind of bulldogging in. They're getting tied up. There's a little bit of short shots going in both sides. Both of them looking extremely, extremely tired at this time. Jab from JJ. Right hook from JJ. Right hook from JJ. JJ doing what he needed to do. But to be honest, some big hits from JJ. Logan Paul looking tired. I have to say, though, JJ doing what he needed to do. Come out and win this round. We've got just over a minute left in the 6. Peter calling for Logan Paul to go down. Another big overhand right by JJ as they're tied up. You can see Logan Paul tired, throwing out some lazy stuff. JJ, oh, big shot. Logan Paul looking tired. He's taking some good shots. Here we go. We got 45 seconds. JJ either, I think he's got to knock him out. Logan Paul pushing him in the corner. Being warned to keep his head up. Big hit by JJ in the clinch. Another shot. Crowd on their feet. You can see people in the VIP seats standing, cheering. Hands down, both fighters. We got 14 seconds. Oh! KSI. Another big hit. Logan Paul in a lot of trouble. Pushing forward. Joe Weller on the announcer desk calling for KSI to finish him off. Oh! And a stiff jab to end the round. There you have it. That is it. Logan Paul does not go down. Goes to his corner. KSI sitting on the shoulder of his crew, arms raised. Logan in the other corner, arms raised. This is obviously going to go to the cards. Close. Very close fight. it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Logan Paul definitely dominating the first 2 rounds out of this fight, handily dominating those rounds. 3rd round I would give to KSI. 4th round I give to KSI. 5th round I give to Logan Paul. 6th round dominated by KSI. So what does that mean? Well, as I was saying earlier, you never want to leave the decision in the hands of the judges. You want to definitely go in there and knock somebody out. So there is no question about what goes on. You definitely don't want people deciding your day. Now, how is the decision going to go here? We don't know. Obviously, the fight in the QK home crowd, JJ finishing, strong in the 6th. The crowd chanting KSI. I think you might see a decision. I think it's going to be a split decision. I think the split decision is going to go in the way of KSI, though. And I think that is maybe good theatrics in the sense that you can basically dispute which way it went. Both fighters have said they will fight each other again. Logan Paul saying he beat KSI twice. So a rematch in the United States, possibly a thing. I could see this happening in Vegas, and I thought initially this fight would happen in Vegas, not the UK, but especially when the Mayweathers got involved. But we will see. So, a good show by those guys. Not bad for a couple of amateur boxers. Logan Paul's first, KSI second. Decent. KSI, after he, after the cheap shot, finally maybe got a little bit focused. My guess is props to his corner for, getting him centered. JJ looking a little weak. There's definitely some stuff that he needs to work on in terms of his right hand as well as his form. Deji's in there as well with his brother. Both guys up there. I don't even know where this is going to go. Like I said, my initial prediction, KSI by decision. I'm still sticking with that. Like I said, I think it's too close to tell. It could very well be a draw, and that would be something else. There you go. Like I said, if I were to score things, let me grab a piece of paper. Let's go. First round, 10-9, Logan Paul. 10-9, Logan Paul. 10-9, KSI. 10-9, KSI. I'm giving it... We're going 38-47. (48-47) KSI is my numbers. So I score the fight 48-47 KSI. It's going to be interesting to hear what they come across as and what they say those numbers are. And of course, my stream at this point freezes out. Trying to reconnect. Good thing I've got my phone stream going here. Because we're going to switch headphones. So here we go. Both fighters in the ring. $58-57 KSI. 57-57. A majority draw. It is a majority draw. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So because it is a majority draw, KSI remains the champ. Wow. KSI saying there's only one thing to do at this point, a rematch. Jordy asks Logan if he's down for a rematch. Logan saying if it's what the people want. KSI and Logan Paul stand in front of each other, no gloves. I have to say that is absolutely crazy. KSI saying he thought he won that fight. KSI asked if he want anybody else he wants to fight. Peter saying it's rigged, fake news. I honestly don't think it's rigged, but definitely a close fight. Majority decision. I can see it happening. Again, you know, my score 58-57 KSI. KSY wins by majority or maintains the belt by decision. The arena's pretty quiet. And I'm looking at these, going on Twitter now, looking at these comments. Lots of people wanted some sort of decision. Oh my God, Logan Paul asking what's happened to KSI's eye and the theatrics. And again, the WWE antics going on, Logan Paul. Again, it's going to be months and months of, you know, sort of build up to this rematch. So very, very interesting. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. I guess nobody called the second fight at all. Nobody would have expected a draw. You know, Logan Paul does say thank you to KSI. Interesting. Saying that he saved his career. Saying he was caught up in the internet bullshit. Going to be interesting. So there you have it. The biggest fight in YouTube history. Logan Paul, KSI. Going to be interesting to see what people say afterwards. Obviously, things are blowing up on Twitter as indicated by Peter here in the chat. So, cool. Thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for tuning in and watching the fight and just kind of shooting the shit in the chat. Hope you had a good time. I'm going to call the stream at this point because I got the rest of my Saturday to go on with. And like I said, this is just kind of one of the other things. Josh says a rematch will be in Vegas. You know what? I'll put it out there now. If anybody wants to go to Vegas to watch this kind of ridiculous thing and just go have a Vegas weekend, you know, by all means, let me know. I would be down for that. Getting to Vegas fairly cheap, and you know, thanks Josh, thanks for the compliment on the commentary. Had a good time, you know. Again, you know, fighting being one of my passions and one of the things that I love to do, and you know, sort of, you know, gets me all sort of fired up, and you know, wanting to do, you know, obviously fight things and coach boxing and coach fighting and have a good time. Thanks, Woodrow, for joining in and staying with us. Good stream, good times. Have a good one all. So thanks again. Pete says, bye, Felicia. So again, I guess we'll be doing this at some point again because really nothing determined at the end. You know, again, you know, respect to these guys for going in, training hard, and putting on a good show. They could have done, you know, a horrible job. But, you know, to be honest, if you get paid millions of dollars and you have nothing else to do other than this one fight, you should be training super hard. But, you know, it looks good on all of them in a sense, and I guess we'll see what happens in the future. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, see ya.